Patience. A word that's taboo with football fans. You know, football fans have some of the craziest expectations in the world of sports. But what does the term patience mean to a young quarterback? What does it mean to an NFL franchise? The fan base?
Giants select Daniel Jones.
Today, we are going to discuss a lack of patience in the NFL. Now, it can kill an NFL team's future and ruin young players' careers. Like great teams, young quarterbacks take time in the NFL. Now, there are obviously cases where young quarterbacks can come out and play nearly perfect, play outstanding, and succeed in the league. But the majority of quarterbacks, just like teams, need time. They need time to gel. They need time to find the right personnel, the right coaches, etc. So giving teams, players, patience is key. And the first person I'm going to discuss is Caleb Williams of the Chicago Bears. Now, Caleb has been no perfect player throughout his early tenure here on the Chicago Bears, but it's not all Caleb Williams' fault, which has been a sentiment that most Bear fans have been echoing throughout this time. But coming from an unbiased person, someone that's not a fan of the Bears, I actually do agree with them a little bit. I think that the play calling for the Bears has not been ideal, but Caleb Williams has still shown a lot of talent being in a not-so-ideal situation with a not-so-ideal roster, frankly. It felt like the Bears tried to speed up their rebuild a little bit, and I don't think that's necessarily a good idea unless it's a sure thing. Now, with an example like the Washington Commanders, who already had a strong winning record when trading for Marshawn Lattimore, that makes more sense because you're bolstering already what looks to be a playoff level team. But when you're making trades and you don't know exactly what you have, it can be a really risky game. So I look back on the Keenan Allen trade, and I like the Keenan Allen trade, especially when I first looked at it. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized that Keenan Allen is already 32 years old, and that's not a knock to 32-year-old receivers. But Caleb Williams needs younger receivers that he can build chemistry with, build a bond with. And listen, giving up a fourth-round pick for a star like Keenan Allen is no overpay at all. But the issue is that Keenan Allen won't be a Bear for a very, very long time. Caleb Williams needs receivers that he can bond with for an extended period of time. I then look to the wide receiver too, DJ Moore. Now, DJ Moore is only 27. You would think that this gives him a good amount of years with DJ Moore still being in his prime, but unfortunately, DJ Moore is a little bit of a troublesome player. He is a player who has specific wants and needs that are not being met by the Bears, to put it in simpleton terms. I think that Caleb Williams really is hurting by not having a young receiver that he can really bond with, because the issue is, it is likely that DJ Moore will not be a Bear for very long, and that Keenan Allen won't be a Bear for very long. Two of his best receivers, he's not going to be having after the season, or maybe then the season after, which I think definitely hurts the development of Caleb Williams. Another thing that damages the development is the lack of sure offensive linemen on this Bear team. I mean, there are some okay offensive linemen. When I say okay, I mean passable, but having a line that is considered passable to below average in the NFL just doesn't work, especially with the star pass rushers that are in this league. You need to be able to have the star tackle to be able to combat the star edge rusher. But when you have a bunch of average to below average players, you're never going to be able to do that. Tevin Jenkins might be the best player on this Bears offensive line, but Braxton Jones, maybe? But these, again, are average to below average players. Larry Borum, these guys are no superstars, and none of them have really broke out to be a superstar, which has made this offense so much harder for Caleb Williams. So much blame being put on Caleb Williams, I just don't think is fair. But I definitely think, at the end of the day, Caleb Williams improves with time. And time comes with better coaching, better chemistry, and better personnel around him. Listen, I could talk about Caleb Williams and his situation all day, but this isn't a Bears video at the end of the day. This is a video about patience with young quarterbacks. So let's spin to another quarterback who I think is plagued by NFL fans' lack of patience, and that quarterback is none other than Michael Penix. Now, Michael Penix has played very few NFL regular season snaps, only coming in relief of Kirk Cousins in a blowout game. But I actually really like the Penix pick for the Falcons. Now, obviously, the Falcons had needs that really could have been addressed at the pick 8. But the thing is the Falcons also are trying to set up their future because, again, let's be realistic and let's be patient for a second. Kirk Cousins isn't going to be the franchise quarterback of the Falcons in the next 10 years. He's an aging, older quarterback who has never, ever won a Super Bowl. So what the Falcons are doing is they're investing in their future now by drafting Penix and allowing him to sit behind a high-quality veteran. Where have we seen this? Oh, the Packers. Not once, but twice. And even teams like the Patriots, the Chiefs. The point is that, yes, a pick of Jared Verse would really be helping the Falcons win games right now. And maybe, just maybe, he would help them win one more playoff game than expected. But at the end of the day, the Falcons are chasing multiple Super Bowls, not just one successful playoff run right now in 2024-2025. I really like that the Falcons are giving Penix a chance to sit behind an established veteran like Cousins and just learn, absorb. Someone who is injury prone like Michael Penix could use a year off of competitive football to just learn, practice, train, improve himself, improve his body, and come out ready for when the Falcons do really need him. And the best part is the Falcons are loaded with a lot of exciting young talent and veterans, of course. There's always a good mix, but the young talent on the Falcons have timelines that can mold with Penix. And I'm looking at a Drake London, a Kyle Pitts, young, exciting offensive pieces, Bijan Robinson, young, exciting pieces that can be there for when Penix is ready and be in their prime. That is setting them up for a long-term Super Bowl, not just a short-term playoff win. But there are still established veterans to help the Falcons be successful now, to lead a winning culture. That's why Falcons fans, NFL people, you need to be patient with a Michael Penix. Let him sit behind Kirk Cousins for 3 years, 4 years for all I care, as long as it creates a better product in the long term for the Falcons. That's why patience is key, and it's not a waste of a first-round pick when you're investing in your future. You're simply just trying to set yourself up so that you can become a Super Bowl contender in the future. Now, like I said, again, spending that pick 8 on a nice defensive player might help them right now, and of course, it will help them in the future, but it won't help them as much as giving them a franchise quarterback sitting behind an established veteran learning right now. Now, I could bring up a lot of quarterbacks. So the final quarterback that I want to discuss in this Patience on NFL Quarterbacks video, I could bring up Bryce Young. I could bring up Jordan Love. I can bring up anybody like CJ Stroud, Jaden Daniels, Bo Nix, any of these young quarterbacks who should be given a chance to succeed. Even someone like Daniel Jones, who their team did have patience with. But I want to bring up someone named Will Levis. Now, you all know Will Levis is the starting quarterback of the Tennessee Titans, and he has been memed, especially since the beginning of the season, for all of his antics, meme-worthy pictures, stupid things he did on the field. But I think people are writing off Will Levis too early, and I know, I get it. His stats don't jump off as superstar-level stats. But the thing is, I don't think the Tennessee Titans are fully playing to Will Levis's strengths, in my own personal opinion. I think Will Levis needs a stronger run game, a stronger offensive line. And here's the big thing. Will Levis does not have great wide receivers, believe it or not. Will Levis's wide receiver room is made up of a lot of, and I mean this with all due respect, has-beens. I mean, Treylon Burks is injured. Calvin Ridley, a fine NFL player, is not a superstar player. Nick Westbrook has been a baller lately and has broken out, but Nick Westbrook, who would have expected him to break out? He's not a star player. He's not a TV name at the wide receiver position. Tyler Boyd, another has-been. Tight ends, listen, Chig Okonkwo is a dog. I get it, but again, that's not a superstar level tight end. Nick Vannett, Josh Wild, these are just backup level players. This offensive line for the Titans, frankly, isn't great either. I think the running backs are solid. Tyjae Spears is a solid young piece. Tony Pollard is a strong receiving back, but he doesn't have that strong power back to sit behind and to, I don't even want to say rely on, but to at least be able to utilize. The offensive line's okay. Peter Skoronski's an above average starter. I like Nicholas Petit-Frere, but this is not a star team, not a star offensive line. I don't think Will Levis is in the best situation. And I think that if Daniel Jones can get in as many years as he did with the Giants, I think Will Levis deserves another year under a stronger Titans roster, in my opinion. I mean, Will Levis has proved he can beat playoff level teams, like his performance against the Texans recently, where he completed 75% of his passes, threw for over 275 yards, and had 2 touchdowns. But the big thing is QB rating of 122, or his really strong performance against the Chargers, throwing 78% completion rating with 127 quarterback rating. Obviously, there's been bad games, and there will continue to be bad games. But writing out Will Levis as just a terrible player, I think is a little premature. This is his second season. He has obviously shown promise, and I don't think the team around Will Levis is frankly very good. Now, Will Levis might not be the GOAT. He might not be a player that's going to carry you to a bunch of Super Bowls, but I think he could have a career turnaround like a Sam Darnold, like a Ryan Tannehill, a former Titan that a lot of people forget had an extremely crazy turnaround from being an average to below average Dolphins quarterback to what people considered a star on the Titans. The same thing with Geno Smith. So many other veterans that were written out then began to succeed when they had new situations and better personnel around them. So I think Will Levis is someone that needs more opportunity, more help, and honestly, more opportunities to just stretch the field, his strong point. And even then, he's a relatively fast receiver. Let him take some runs, encourage him to move around a little bit. He was the 33rd overall pick for a reason. That is not an easy place to get drafted. He is obviously a high-quality player that is just in need of coaching, development, and time. Frankly, patience. Now, there are plenty of quarterbacks that fit the criteria, in my opinion, for patience. If we were in the 1980s, this wouldn't be a video or a discussion because that's all the NFL was patience back then. And I think that a lot more quarterbacks had some form of success because of that. But others were, of course, allowed to play a little too long in the sandbox and definitely hurt their team's future. So finding a equal middle, finding a compromise is the best thing that I think franchises can do, where you don't let Daniel Jones ruin your future for this many years. Now, of course, it wasn't totally Daniel Jones' fault, obviously, but Daniel Jones certainly didn't help the situation either. But also not getting rid of quarterbacks after struggling for a year or two. So it is dependent on the situation, on the team, on the personnel. There's so many factors that go into it. But if you want to see more, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, make sure you tell me if you want to see maybe an opposite style of this list, players that got too much time, or you want to hear me talk about more players that I think deserve more time for more opportunities. Let me know in the comments. Obviously, more forgotten player videos are also coming. That's my bread and butter. So obviously, we'll be going back and forth with that. Thank you guys again. Make sure you join my Discord. That will be linked down in the description. Stay safe, smoke crack, eat drywall. I'll see you soon.